Alright, what's up everybody, it's Kami, and this one was actually recommended to me by Paranormally. Leave this guy's name, that's how you say that, yeah, Paranormally. And he said soft and wet with Spice Girl. I probably should have done the intro differently, but what's up everybody, it's Kami. We're here doing another episode of Stand Swap, which is pretty much just where I sit down, play some Eyes of Heaven, and I just talk about two users pretty much essentially just switching their powers and switching stands with each other, just to think of a couple what if scenarios and, you know, silly things here and there. So I looked at this one, right, and I was like, you know, this one is cool, and this one stands out to me because my whole, you know, thing with wanting to do stand swap was to kind of just take a bunch of different abilities and have the character swap them, but I've kind of just been doing a bunch of powers that are pretty similar between characters, so I do apologize on that end, I guess, because I do want to make this, you know, different and diverse, which is why I really like this idea of just taking Soft and Wet and Spice Girl. Because I guess theoretically speaking, they're both similar and quote-unquote taking things away, but not really taking things away. So the way Spice Girl works, because it's the easier one to explain out of the first two, is Spice Girl is able to make things extremely soft on contact. So pretty much if Spice Girl touches something, it can make it soft and kind of just turn it into this rubber, elastic kind of substance. So off of that, you know, it might sound like a really weird stand ability, might not sound like super useful, but the things that she does soften with Spice Girl are extremely easy for her to destroy. Because Soft Girl, I swear I'm going to keep saying Soft Girl because it's soft and wet. Spice Girl does have super strength, like most other stands, so, you know, Spice Girl does hit really hard, but it pretty much just makes things really soft and kind of rubbery and spongy. So when they're fighting Notorious B.I.G. on the airplane, Trish is able to punch the roof of the airplane, or whatever, in the front cockpit, and she's able to like break through it and stuff like that, and she makes B.I.G. soft and cuts him up into pieces with a pipe, which I thought was pretty damn cool. So it has, you know, pretty good usage, I'd say so myself. It's a pretty useful stand, in my opinion. And then the latter would be Soft and Wet, which I kept saying Soft Girl for some reason, probably because I'm thinking, you know, soft and rubbery material. So Soft and Wet, described by Gappy in the first fight or whatever, in the first chapter, that we see it when he's inside of Kira's house and he's fighting the dude on the roof. He describes it as having the ability to take things away and take properties of things away. So some examples of this is, let's see. Okay, when he's in the hospital after the first fight or whatever with Yasuho, he wants to you know, escape and sneak out. So what he does is he looks at one of the nurses or whatever, and he uses Soft and Wet's bubble to essentially just remove her eyesight, so that she can't see him, so that they can just literally just run out. Which he also does this to Joshu for the first time. He kind of just hits him with the bubble and it pops out his eyeball, which is kind of funny. I think it's a pretty cool little thing of, you know, Soft and Wet, a little way to kind of just showcase it. It's kind of just goofy, but at the same time extremely dangerous because he's just popping his eyeballs out essentially. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's well, that's kind of funny, just because it kind of happens in a goofy way, but at the same time it's a very serious and dangerous ability, so it's not something that you should take lightly. So if we were to swap the two, right, and I'll start with Trish because it'll probably be the easier one to talk about. Again, just kind of taking situations into considerations. You know, if Trish Una were to have Soft and Wet, one, things would be way different in many of the fights. So in the fight with Notorious B.I.G., right, what they ended up doing was getting it into the ocean so that it couldn't track them anymore or whatever, and it just got stuck in the ocean. So if she had Soft and Wet, right, she'd be able to get rid of Notorious B.I.G's sight or hearing and stuff, and it would kind of just essentially just be left there like a potato, and it wouldn't really do anything, so they wouldn't have to worry about it, right? That makes you know, sense, right? That sounds like it would, you know, work and shit, right? So that would work. Also, in the fight against Diavolo, she'd probably be a really big threat, and not even probably, she would be a really big threat just because she would have such a useful stand ability. And I always say this personally, but when it comes to just base stand forms, and I'm speaking about just the stand by itself, not with any special power-ups, not like a Bites the Dust effect where it gains a new ability, not a Requiem like GER, not any crazy stand improvement, just a base stand when the part starts, which I'll rematch this because that went by really fast. But from the base form of the stand, which we don't know if Soft and Wet is going to adjust and adapt and gain some new kind of crazy power, but as of right now, I say Soft and Wet is the strongest base stand. Just having this ability of being able to take away things while being extremely powerful is, you know, it's pretty impressive. But yeah, and it kind of makes me wonder what the whole entire, limit to Soft and Wet's takeaway ability would be. It's like sometimes you wonder if you would be able to take away, let's say, the iron in somebody's blood if they had an open wound just by using a little bubble from the stand. I'd imagine so. And this kind of came to mind when I thought about the Metallica fight with Diavolo, because Diavolo does have kind of a shit duration with his stand because of his low stamina, and because the Metallica user, I believe his name is Risotto, was using Metallica to remove iron from his blood. It was making his body weaker, because when you start to lose blood and stuff like that, and you don't have enough iron in your body gets weaker. So if you could take out somebody's iron, for example, with Soft and Wet, that would pretty much leave them in a very weakened state, I guess. And in really big stand battles, that would be extremely useful. So using this ability against Diavolo, right, given she would have to make it so that Diavolo has an injury of some sort, Diavolo would be extremely weak, and it would be harder for him to use King Crimson regardless of his range. He'd have to probably be like right in front of somebody so he could even use it slightly, and even still it would be extremely hard for him to use it. Aside from that, he could just take away Diavolo's vision or take away Diavolo's hearing and kind of get rid of his senses and things like that, and it would just completely demolish Diavolo, and it would make King Crimson kind of a joke. Because when we look at Soft and Wet, like I said, one of the strongest stands in my opinion, and I think it's the strongest main Joestar stand at base form. Just when it's like first introduced, it's just so powerful, and this ability is so unique, and there's so many possibilities with it, which is what I like about it the most. There's so many different things that we haven't seen about the stand that it can potentially do. So if it does ever end up doing these things, it would be like really damn cool, but we won't know until it happens. So it's just one of those things where I thought that this one was like really cool because of this factor being like so open. I really like that Soft and Wet is kind of just one of those stands where it's just super strong, but it's not like it's super strong just because, oh, I have like a super crazy like time stop ability or anything like that. No, it's super strong because the user can do so many things if he just thinks about these things, and he's smart about his situations, which is one of the things that I like the most about Part 8. Just the way Gappy uses his stand and stuff. He uses it in many different ways, and it's very cool to see a different display of stand usage aside from just normal punch barrages and just the base ability, which is also what I like about Jolene. I do like that she uses her stand in many different creative ways, from being able to turn herself into string to avoid getting warped inside out by Poochie's gravity abilities, to turning herself into string again to like phase through the prison and escape past guards and things like that. So that's a pretty cool just thing to be able to do. So I really like seeing stands used in different ways aside from just orders and punch barrages and things like that. So props to Soft and Wet for being one of those stands where it's very strong, but it's strong for just being so open with its ability. So it has a powerful ability. There's a lot of different uses for it. It's very creative, and I think it's just really cool. Now, if we were to give Gappy, right, Spice Girl, a couple situations would be kind of weird, I guess, because all he'd really be doing is turning things soft. But since he is fighting, other stand users and the Rockmen, actually, if he was able to just, make them soft and stuff, since when they're soft, they'd be extremely easy to destroy, he could essentially just do what Damo does and make people extremely soft and then hurt them really bad. And you can also remove this soft property to kind of make it have a rubber band effect, like it's like a catapult launching or something. So it'd pretty much be like, let's say, you have the elasticity enabled on the other person, and then you disable it, it kind of just like rubber band back and forth and like whiplash because of this. So that's pretty cool. But other than that, now I think about it, yeah, Josefumi would probably get really good use out of it. And by the way, I'm sorry for calling him Josefumi. Some people, are like, oh, is it Josefumi, is it Gappy? And like, I think it's chapter 58. He says, I am Josefumi with bits of Kiri Yoshikage fused into me. That's essentially who he is. That's literally all the character is. So, for people that aren't caught up, there you go. For people that are caught up and just, always ask the question, just, you gotta like really, like when I say read the manga, like, you gotta pay attention to these things when you're reading. Sometimes you just don't notice them. Sometimes you do, but, you just gotta look back at it and then you'll notice these things. So, just pay attention to things like that. But, I think it's a really cool stand swap for this one because, like I said, I have done ones that are very similar. And in the past, I did the Hand and Cream. The first one I did was Sex Pistols and Emperor, and that was kind of just for example reasons. be creative with different stand ones. I saw like a couple other comments that some guy said to do like harvest with like Made in Heaven and stuff. So I might get to do that one eventually. It just depends on how I feel and which one I want to do at the moment, because it's kind of just the way I do these. I'm just like, all right, what stands do people want me to do a video on, and which one do I feel like doing right now? It's like, if I like this idea, I'm gonna go with it. If I don't like this idea, I might leave it off for later or not do it at all. It just all depends. But if Josefumi did have the soft and wet, or not soft and wet, I'm sorry, he already has soft and wet. If he had Spice Girl, then he would be able to make the Rockmen extremely soft and easily break them into pieces and essentially kill them off really easy. So that would work like that. And if Trish had soft and wet, she'd pretty much just body everybody in part 5 that they would have ever really fought, actually. Now that I think about it, she would have bodied like the Grateful Dead users and pretty much everybody else. She would have just won. Soft and wet is really strong. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and feel free to subscribe. I upload JoJo content on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And every last Sunday of the month, there will be a podcast episode that comes out. So look forward to that. So, anyways, leave any comments down below on any other stand swap suggestions that you guys might have. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.